Let me just say we should not live our life with a lot of regrets. We have to look at the bad things with different eyes and say to ourselves, lessons learned. As we all know, breast milk is the best food for babies. I totally agree with that statement. In fact, to breastfeed my baby was my plan all along when I was pregnant. But things took a weird turn and the idea did not turn into a reality. Well, sort of. Welcome to Mother Baby Central, your resource for transformational information regarding pregnancy, postpartum, newborn care, and baby's first year of life. In this video, I will talk about my personal journey with breastfeeding and why I failed. I have two children, and both of them are now teenagers, very smart and happy kids. And I only breastfed both of them for 3 months. I wish I had breastfed them longer, but I will not dwell on the what ifs. The reason I want to share with you my breastfeeding mistakes is so you don't have to. Moms, always remember, nobody is perfect. If you still make the same mistakes like I did, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. When I had my babies, I was already a mother baby nurse, but in spite of being one, breastfeeding was still a big challenge. So, let's get into it. Number 1, I did not breastfeed my baby within the first hour after birth. In the best case scenario, the baby should be on the breast nursing within the first hour or as soon as possible. I had a difficult delivery with my first one. I pushed for 3 hours, had a third-degree laceration with repair, of course, why not? Had bleeding more than the usual amount, and because I lost a lot of blood, had to receive blood transfusion while my lacerations were being repaired. I was monitored more closely due to my heavy bleeding, and I was also given some heavy IV pain medication because the epidural wore out. So that knocked me out for a while. The nurse took my baby to the nursery for the meantime, and he was given some formula while he was there. It took a few hours before they brought him back to me, and only then was I able to hold my baby and nurse for the first time. In my case though, I needed some medical attention after delivery, and that delayed the timing of the first feeding. Yep, I get it. I was not stable enough to be taking care of my baby anyway. All of you will have different birth experience, so if there are no issues with you and the baby, breastfeed right away and do not supplement with formula unless medically indicated. Number 2, I did not seek help from the lactation consultant. Well, let me clarify that statement. I was not proactive enough to ask help from them because they do see every patient and do their usual consult. But what I should have done is to ask them specifically what to do with my breastfeeding issues. So take advantage of the services given at the hospital, especially a consultation with the lactation specialist. Ask to be seen at least twice before going home, and make sure to make a plan with you to troubleshoot any problems that you might have with breastfeeding. I thought my baby did not have any issues with latching on, but my nipples were very sore after 24 hours. So every time my baby gets on the breast, I felt a shooting pain, and I thought at that time it was normal, so I endured it. I can't remember if they gave me a nipple shield, but I know I have to use the Soothis gel. It's like a round, thick silicone nipple cover you put on the freezer, and then once it's cold, you put it on top of your nipples every after breastfeeding. That was a lifesaver for me. See, although I was already a nurse, then you would think I know all of these, but my thoughts were all over the place then, and I was really focused more on the pain I am feeling, not only in my nipples, but my bottom as well. Both women parts hurt so bad that if I will describe it in a pain scale of 0 to 10, it is a good 9 out of 10. No kidding. Not only were my nipples hurting, my supply was so low too, because remember, I bled a lot after delivery and it affected the milk production and supply. I did not ask the lactation consultant specific action to take for my supply to improve, so that was a mistake on my part. Number 3, I did not have the support I needed to continue breastfeeding despite the difficulties. So Ask everyone in the house or whoever lives with you to support you with your decision to just breastfeed. Unfortunately, breastfeeding is not the norm in my family. I was never breastfed as a baby, nor any of my siblings, and neither was my husband. My husband's parents lived with us during the delivery of my two babies. So, since no one in that house knows anything about breastfeeding but me, the common theme I hear is that my baby is hungry and I need to feed him more than my breast milk. If you hear that constantly, your firm will to breastfeed weakens. And to keep the order and peace in the house, I have to give in, unfortunately. But even though my son was taking formula, I still pump every time he didn't go to the breast. But my supply was still very low and I wasn't getting enough to even give for one feeding. So the bottom line is, if there is no support in the family, join a breastfeeding group or ask a friend who exclusively breastfed her child to be your sort of mentor. If you can, make an appointment with a lactation consultant. This will definitely be a game changer. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people will set you up for success. If you are loving this content so far, please click on the like button and share it with whoever you think would love to watch this breastfeeding video. Number 4, I did not take the time to learn as much as I can about breastfeeding, like attending a live or even an online class. During the pre-pandemic era, the hospital offered different live classes you can enroll at before you have your baby, and the doctors actually encouraged that. I thought I knew everything about breastfeeding because I am a nurse, but I was wrong. I borrowed a book from my colleague who is a lactation specialist and read the whole thing before having my baby, but I was still unsuccessful. You know why? I did not create an actionable plan on how to do this breastfeeding thing. I thought it would be easy and natural. I did not plan on what I would do if it was going to be difficult. I didn't think about what I would do if my supply did not increase. I did not plan anything if everything goes south. So when all the things that are bad happened, since my mind was not even set up correctly on how to navigate any blockage to my journey, I just gave up. The takeaway here is attend a class dedicated to breastfeeding and make up your mind that whatever happens, you will do your best to at least breastfeed for 6 months. And start making a step-by-step plan on what you will do as soon as your baby's born with regards to breastfeeding. Number 5, I was not open-minded about a different alternative in breastfeeding my child. During that time, the only way I know how to feed my baby is either to put him on the breast or give the formula. I did not even think that if I wanted to at least give more of my milk to the formula, I could just have religiously pumped. Duh, I was so into this mindset. Well, if breastfeeding is not going to work, then formula it is. I did not even consider exclusively pumping. I know that putting the baby on the breast is definitely much better in having more milk supply. But if that doesn't work, then pumping is the next best thing. In hindsight, pumping was probably more doable and I could have included it in my schedule. So if my husband or in-laws wanted to feed my baby, they could just give my breast milk instead of the formula. What do you think, moms? Would that have been a good idea then? I did pump, but not as often enough to have the consistent stimulation to build my milk supply. So a quick story. A few days after I got home from the hospital, I developed a fever and had severe pain where I had my stitches at. So I called the doctor and was ordered to go back to the hospital to get myself checked. I was thinking I had an infection in my laceration site or maybe a hematoma of some sort. Well, turned out it wasn't. The midwife who saw me at the hospital thinks my breasts were engorged. I don't think so, but that's what she said. She wanted to keep me a night for an observation, but then she changed her mind, sent me home instead with more pain medicine to help me be a little bit more comfortable so I can continue breastfeeding my baby. My body felt beaten up. I was not well physically. Everything seemed to be not fine. I felt so overwhelmed, so helpless that even breastfeeding stressed me out. I was a hot mess. I did what I thought I could during those days to survive my dramatic postpartum period. But if I knew of those breastfeeding mistakes and what to do to fix them, the end result could probably have been better. I am very thankful in spite of it all. My children still grew up healthy and strong, so I'm grateful. I hope you learned something from our video for the day, and I hope someone can relate to my personal story. Some of you probably have different struggles why breastfeeding did not work, but if you want to share it with everyone, leave a comment in the description below so everyone will learn from each other's mistakes. And because of that, everyone will have a better breastfeeding experience, right? So that's it for today. Be well, everyone, and as always, happy watching!